Man,
All right, we're here. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Fans Union for the fans by the fans. We're here after some lows from the weekend and got some highs from the weekend for some of us, but a very good weekend in college football for sure,
most
especially
definitely.
if you like entertaining games. Yeah, so got a lot to discuss, especially with the two games that we're going to lead in with. Before we get into that, fellas, how are we feeling today?
Feeling good, man.
Last weekend aside.
Today is today. It ain't last weekend. So today was good. It's always good to be back with the fellas. Um, Good to see everybody's in better health this week. We had a couple members with the Suds last week.
Yeah.
It's good to see everybody back in top shape, man. The boys are in full fitness, ready to deliver on a big show, big weekend of college football. And needless to say, I think the three of us are looking forward to the high note that Logan is going to be able to lead us off with. Trip, how you feeling, baby?
Hey, look, I'm just glad that we always let the emotions cool for a few days before we get into this. Because
100%.
Fair
100%.
enough.
if
Fair
we would have
enough.
recorded this as a live reaction, my fist might have been through this camera. So I'm just glad that I got a couple of days to relax beforehand.
Logan, tell us how you are and then take us away.
I am wonderful. If you would have told me 3 months ago I'd be sitting in this position, I would have called you a liar. I would not have believed you. I'd have said bullshit, or I'd have said Austin Simmons must be having a Heisman caliber year, and that ain't happened. So blown away.
Wait,
to say
real
the
quick
least.
before you get going, Logan. Before you get going, Logan, did
Yes, sir.
you lose to me in a pool tournament on Friday? I couldn't remember.
Thought we were supposed to start on a high note.
That's a high note for
Is this
me.
what we're doing on this panel? Are we shooting each other down on this panel? Is that what we're doing, fellas?
Hey, we
It
need
may
some
not happen. I
context.
don't
Hey,
know.
we need some context. Where did this match take place at, man?
Oh, a classic, like your ideal pool hall,
Okay.
like real cheap beer pitchers. You can smoke in there, and you can load up on the touch tunes.
Hey,
I
so
know.
y'all was where Joe Camel used to be at when he shot the commercials. Remember, Joe Camel used to be all up in the spot
Yeah.
when he used to shoot the commercials. Yeah.
Hey, I got Logan got a terrific picture of me that night. I will say that.
I know
I
y'all
think
came
I
home
saw
smelling
that,
like
man.
Marlboro Reds.
Yeah.
Yep.
There we
Oh,
go,
yeah.
Trip.
Gotta
Yeah.
wash the clothes immediately.
So,
It's like after a bonfire, bro. Got to take a shower before you get in the sheets. You know,
oh, no doubt,
can't have a bad
100%.
stuff like that.
So, but
Hey, Logan, there's also been reports that you've actually officially applied for Trinidadian citizenship. Is this true? No, I mean, I'm just saying that
bro.
the U.S. are in good standing relations with the country of Trinidad. There's no political turmoil, nothing like that. So, I mean, the fans have been wondering. Apparently, you've been sporting a Trinidadian flag on the back of the truck and all that, man. Are you full team Trinidad at this point in the season?
that's buy-in.
I'm running town hall, baby. I'm running town hall.
I love it.
So,
We're about to start a Trinidadian embassy in
All
the Metro Atlanta area. Word to Logan.
Hey, all I'm saying, if you got an Ole Miss quarterback with 6 on his back, it was a good weekend. It was a good weekend.
Hey, give us a rundown on who sported the glorious number 6 for the Rebels. Just a quick, maybe the top 3.
In the past,
Yeah, give us your 3 favorite number 6s for the Rebels, man. Since you bring up the jersey number, I guess.
oh man,
I mean to put you on the spot like
that's
that.
not
OG.
a popular number. Yeah,
Oh, I
that's
thought
not
you
a
were saying
popular
like
number
if
at
you
Ole Miss.
sporting number 6 for the Rebels, like that's a good number to have. My bad, I misread you,
No.
bro.
I was saying because Dart wears 6 for the Giants and he got the dub. That was kind of like the
Oh, my bad.
joke.
I jumped the gun on that. Too much dip on my chip, man. Somebody mute my shit, bro. Hey, mute me out,
Hey,
coach.
but I'll give one shout out to my boy Jalen Walton. I'll give my boy Jalen Walton a shout out. He had some big plays at Ole Miss. You know, had like a 90-plus yarder to seal the deal against Mississippi State one year. Caught a touchdown to take the lead against Bama the first year we beat them, and then Sinquez Golson got the pick and end zone. So we have some number 6 moments out there, but not a huge number 6 school, I would say. Not off the top of the head, at least.
Hey,
well, go ahead. Let's get into the ball a little bit.
Good enough, man. You showing your expertise on the Rebels. We can always appreciate that, big dog.
Dude, I feel like my mic is delayed tonight. It's kind of driving me crazy.
It is a little bit. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah,
It's on Trinidad time, I think.
All right, so we're gonna start off with
be out, man. You be out.
What's that?
You good? Go ahead. Go ahead.
This is about to drive me crazy. All right, so we're starting off the Ole Miss LSU game. First thing we need to do, if anybody got some yellow they want to throw out into the fucking screens, sorry, pardon my language. Anybody want to throw a flag or anything? Anybody? Pass interference, holding, false start. Anybody? I'm sick of it. I'm so tired of it. And it was just – come on, Joey. I know. Joey's grabbing something yellow. He's in it. Teague time?
All right.
We got to get on track. We need to kill 6 minutes of nonsense. All right. All seriousness, though, good Lord at the penalties, especially in the first half of this game, man. This was, like, hard to watch just because every other play. Like, it felt like Ole Miss was going to lose this game because they were just shooting themselves in the foot time after time. At one point, we had, like, 9 penalties for, like, 84 yards, and I think LSU had 1 penalty for 6. So it was like at the very beginning of this game, it was looking real rough. Penalties weren't so lopsided towards the end. I think Ole Miss definitely had way more yardage, but at least the penalties thrown was a little more close towards the end. But I will say, like, fourth quarter, it seemed like they were letting them play a lot more. Like anything handsy for between a defender and a wide receiver, there was a flag getting thrown every single time. So I think towards the end, they let them play a little bit more. I appreciated that from the refs because, man, it's like watching a James Harden basketball game. It's real boring when all you're doing is blowing a whistle. I just can't get behind it, you know. It slows the pace of the game, which that's Ole Miss's game. It's like we're out here trying to get these big plays. I literally remember a play where Chambliss literally gets the ball and immediately throws it to Caden Lee on a screen. He cuts upfield for like 12 yards first down. All of a sudden, chains are moving backwards because it's offensive holding. How you hold in 1.2 seconds, I will never understand. Like, he literally is saying hike and then throwing the ball, and they're calling holding. So,
it's a good
as far
job.
as penalties, very abysmal. There was a few big ones that really were, like, irking me. In the end, everything is kosher. We won. So, I won't harp too much further than a couple minutes on the penalties. But other than that, Graham, not to throw you under the bus, Graham shot in the group chat, you need to put in Austin Simmons. My response was, are we watching the same game? And I only say that, Graham. His completion percentage was not great, but there was a few times he was running for his life and just dipping the ball out of bounds, which I'm cool with. I would rather have a lower completion percentage and you're throwing out of bounds versus forcing throws, which he did do one, or taking the sack, which I don't know the numbers on that, but I don't feel like he got sacked a lot if he did get sacked. One thing I was very impressed about is Chambliss, after the first few drives, really composed himself and led the fucking team like we needed him to. Like, I don't see Austin Simmons doing that from what I've seen the first 2 games from him before he got hurt. Don't see that happening from him. So I was very, very, very excited to see Chambliss settle in, go back to playing his kind of ball. You know, if it wasn't there, he just threw it away or try to run and make something happen. If it wasn't there, he threw it away. There was one instance he threw a pick, the one interception of this game, only one of the season so far. He's rolling right, literally has the first down in front of him. I'm thinking he's about to run for a first and get down or go out of bounds. That's kind of been his mojo this whole time. Was a little disappointed to see him try to force one downfield. However, I'll be honest, we've seen him make that throw a handful of times that specific game. I mean, he was putting the ball in some tight windows. It was very impressive from what I've seen from him, especially coming from a D2 college football player last year. Like, this man clearly had 0 big games in his belt, you know, other than the championship. But it's like, dude's playing in front of 5K versus 65K. It's a little different. I'll keep it moving because I got a lot to get off my chest here. Ole Miss's crowd was phenomenal. Ole Miss is known for being a party school. Usually by noon, everyone's drunk. By the second half, everyone's going home, passed out, you know. So I was super excited to see how lively the crowd was in this one. Seemed like every time there was a big down on defense, crowd was getting loud. Nussmeier was looking like Arch Manning out there. Love to see that. Crowd was really involved. I'm really appreciative of that. And then going to keep it moving here. Ole Miss's defense looks great. I get LSU's offense does not look like they were supposed to. We all know that. But the fact that we're getting to the quarterback rushing 3 and we got Nussmeier rattled and we're dropping 8 in coverage was crazy. I did not see that coming. Also, to add to that, they were kind of dicing us when we didn't drop 8. So that was very scary, I will say, moving forward, because I think LSU's defense is definitely suspect. I mean, their offense, my fault. Their offense is very suspect. But we'll pivot into that. LSU's defense has been great all year. Us to put up that good of numbers against them, I was very surprised. I did believe in Chambliss, but this was obviously the biggest test of our season. So see him handle himself with the composure he didn't get too rattled, did have the one turnover, bounced right back immediately. Love to see that. And, I mean, I just got really nothing but flowers to give Chambliss on that day. I do want to throw one crazy stat, not to steal your thunder here, Trip, but gonna throw a crazy stat out. This is the first time Ole Miss has beat LSU as a top 5 opponent since 1965. Been a very, 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 very long time since Ole Miss has beat LSU and they were a top 5 team.
Damn, Lyndon Johnson era.
Yeah, 65 is pre-Arch Manning, bro, for Ole Miss. Like, that's a long time ago.
Bro, that's pre-Richard Nixon.
So, yeah. So I'm just saying, very impressive there.
I don't even think Jimi Hendrix had debuted in 65.
One thing that I do find crazy, we beat the number 4 team in the country and did not rush the field. And as you know, Ole Miss fans love to rush the field. Anytime anyone this day and age beats a top 10 school and you're at home, you're rushing the field. So for Ole Miss fans not to rush the field, I think this plays like perfectly into what Lane Kiffin has built at Ole Miss in a very short amount of time. I'm not saying we're about to win a natty. I'm not saying nothing like that. I'm not getting too I'm ecstatic, but I'm not going to go too overboard. But I just want to rattle off a few players that Ole Miss lost last year, and these are just NFL players. This is not any other players. Like, there's a couple I can name in the portal or people who graduated, but just in the NFL, Ole Miss's starting quarterback is Jackson Dart. Last year went to the Giants. Our main running back who was hurt a lot at the Colts, Trey Harris is at the Chargers, Juice Wells at the Giants, Jordan Watkins at the Niners, Dayton Wade's at the Ravens, Caden Prescore's the Bucks, Walter Nolan the Cardinals, JJ Pegues is at the Raiders, Jared Ivey is at the Seahawks, Chris Paul Jr. is at the Seahawks, Prince, I will always butcher his last name, he is at the Panthers, Trey Amos is at the Commanders, Trey Washington's at the Colts. Never have I ever been able to give that long of a list of players that went to the NFL from an Ole Miss team. I've never. That's all from last year. So Lane Kiffin, look, this is what I had to stop and get today, all right? We're bringing the flowers from my boy Lane Kiffin, all right? We got the flowers, all right? We had to stop and get them. I'm bringing the flowers, boys. I'm fucking pumped. I am pumped. We got the flowers, all right? We had to stop and get the flowers from my boy Lane today, all right? My boy Lane got us Ole Miss. He got us feeling right, all right? So we're going to do a little deeper dive in Ole Miss. And I'm sorry, but we're rambling today. We want to start on a positive note. Y'all want me in my bag. We're going to pull out some shit, okay?
Hey, I just want to say real quick, because you were talking about it earlier. Rebels gave up no sacks. LSU did not have any sacks on the day.
And I think that's
you were talking about the sack numbers.
I think that's more credit to Chambliss in the offensive line. I'm just going to say that. That man was very good pocket presence, getting out of bounds, throwing the ball out of bounds, evading a DN that bust up on a right tackle. Like, I've seen it numerous times, and that's why when Grant sent the text, I was like, I'm not hating what I see. His percentages were low, yes. First couple jobs were rough, yes, but I'm not mad at it. So, on to giving Lane Kiffin his flowers. Right now, we're 5-0. Like I said, never expected that after everybody we just lost. Like I just named 10, 15 players, whatever it was. Never really expected to see us at 5-0. I was scared against Arkansas. I was scared against Kentucky. Tulane, to be honest. So if you tell me going into the season that we're going to be 5-0 and we just beat number 4 at LSU, I know the scoreboard doesn't say it, but we pretty much dominated that game. Like, we had control the whole time. There was never really a time where it seemed like LSU was gaining momentum or anything. And I think that's a big credit to, once again, our crowd. But, I mean, I was just overall very impressed. But to continue to give my man Lane Kiffin his flowers, so currently we're averaging 40 points a game this year. That's 14th in the league. Not mad at it. We're only allowing 18.8 on defense. That's only 40th in the league, which seems like I feel like it'd be higher up than that. Only 18 points a game is not bad in my opinion. And as of right now, our strength of schedule is 12th in the league. So It's rated 12th in the league, and we're only allowing 18 points a game. We're averaging 40 a game. Very impressed with that. Once again, never thought we'd be 5-0 or sitting at number 4 after 5 weeks into the season because it was such an unknown. On top of that, Lane Kiffin went to Ole Miss. 2020 was his first year, COVID year, so kind of a rough year, but for football, not just Ole Miss. But Lane Kiffin, since getting to Ole Miss, is 49-18. That's a 73% win percentage, and that's the 8th highest in college football at Ole Miss. I get it. You guys might have a recency bias. I've seen Ole Miss win 2 games more than once. I've seen us lose to Jacksonville State. I've seen some rough, and I mean rough, Ole Miss seasons. So Lane Kiffin turning it around like this as quick as he done in a 5-year span is crazy to me. He's had 3 10-win seasons in the last 4. In Ole Miss's program history, we only have 5 10-win seasons since in the 2000s. One of them being Eli Manning in 2003. The other is Matt Corral's Ole Miss team his senior year when Lane Kiffin was there. And then the other 3 have been – or no, I'm sorry, not Matt Corral. Hugh Freeze had us at a 10-win season one year in 2015, I believe it was. And then now Lane Kiffin's had 3 in the last 4 years. Lane Kiffin is responsible for 3 of the only 10 10-win seasons. We've had 10 10-win seasons in all of Ole Miss's history. 3 of them were credited to Lane Kiffin in a 5-year span. Crazy. Like when I start looking at numbers like this, I'm like, Jesus Christ, Lane Kiffin is he really like this? So that blew my mind. The other 5 that were before 2000. So Eli was 2003. Before that, it was his dad in 71. That's how big of a gap it was before Ole Miss had a 10-win season. So, like, there were some poverty years in there. Let's just call a spade a spade. On top of that, I cannot count how many – we have an Alabama friend that we all are mutual friends with. I remember specifically him saying, y'all can have Pete Golding. Since Pete Golding has taken over Ole Miss's defense, they have a record of 26-5. Thank you for letting us take Pete Golding. I appreciate that. I'll take a 26-5 record over a 3.5-year span, 2.5, whatever it is. And then since Charlie Weiss Jr. got hired as offensive coordinator, Ole Miss is 34-10. He was hired in 2022, so the year before Pete Golding. They had an 8-5 season, nothing too crazy. And then on top of that, 3 out of the 5 years Ole Miss has finished full years under Lane Kiffin. We had a number 9 finish, a number 11 finish, and a number 11 finish. As an Ole Miss fan, I'm not used to that. So it's getting real crazy seeing us floating around top 10 like this and pretty much every year getting in the top 10 at some point and then getting let down. I'm an Ole Miss fan. We're going to get let down. But all in all, dude, once again, where are they at? I'm here to give my man Lane Kiffin his flowers, all right?
That's incredible. That's incredible.
We could go 5-7, bro. I don't give a shit at this point. I do. I might cry. But I'm going to give Lane Kiffin his flowers right now because this man has single-handedly, and I think Hugh Freeze played a good pivotal part in this, so shout out Hugh Freeze. But Lane Kiffin has literally put Ole Miss officially on the map, and I don't think anyone can deny that. Like I said, we could lose out. I'm not going to say we're even going to make playoffs. I understand that it's still very, 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 very early, but we're almost at the halfway point in the season. We're going into our bye week 5-0, and I would have never predicted that. So there's my 10 to 15 minute tirade. Told y'all I was going to be rambling on this one for a minute, but to me, it's more than just the LSU game. It's when you really sit back and think, you're like, we really just beat number 4 LSU, didn't even rush the field. Like that's just the standard that he's starting to create at Ole Miss, and got nothing but respect for it, and I absolutely love it. So I'm gonna let the panel do their talking. I'm done rambling for now, but excited is an understatement, you know.
Well,
hindsight, looking back.
I understand. Trust me, I get it. One thing
I know y'all get 10-win seasons every year in Georgia, but it's not an Ole Miss thing, you know.
Hey, we're spoiled. I mean, just being honest. I mean, it's part. I mean, Georgia even before Kirby Smart got there. I mean, perennial 10-win team. So, I was gonna say real quick, the storming the field thing. It's becoming egregious. Look, if you are not we might win 6 games if we're lucky, and you beat a top 10 team, do not rush the field. Like that is so egregious. Like the Virginia one when they beat Florida State, that was horrible. Oh, yeah. That was so bad. I mean, it was so dangerous. Players hadn't even got a chance to get off the field.
They even got a chance to get up. The ball hit the ground.
Right. You look like Squirrel White got turned into a pancake. But I mean, it's so egregious. But I'm not getting on that tirade too far. No, that's a big statement win. I mean, because especially I don't know if it was from the Hugh days, but Lane Kiffin teams prior to were never really the calling card for teams were never really physicality and being solid defensively. But it's not like that anymore. I mean, especially when you saw the portal crew they rounded up last year with Nolan and Prince. I mean, they became a team you're gonna have to, it's not gonna be a shootout. We're gonna play defense. And I was really interested. My preseason Heisman pick was, Garrett Nussmeier, and he looked horrible. Like I know. I mean, I'm not, no. If you watch that game, he looked terrible. He's just constantly forcing things that don't have to be forced, and with their inability to run the ball, I mean, they didn't even rush it for 60 yards. So Brian Kelly, I know he got pissed at that announcer for asking a question where they only scored 20 after picking the ball up 5 times. But LSU has a real problem running the ball, and it's why they're not going to be a playoff team, 1,000%. But
to touch on Nussmeier, though, one thing I was surprised about, he is forcing it. I agree, but he had one. I can't remember who it was for them, but they had the cornerback stacked, and I mean, it was literally just throw the ball to the goal line, and he goes and gets it. It's a touchdown because it was around like the 10-yard line, and instead he throws it back behind him, and then the receiver's slowing down, and then we're knocking the ball away, and it's just like it literally is a touchdown throw, and it's a throw he was making last year. Like, I literally saw the ball in the air. When they pan to the receivers, he's got them stacked. He's got them a step beat. And then the receivers having to slow down to kind of come back to the ball, which another point on that, me and Joey talked about this, I think it was Sunday. These defensive backs, and I'm not saying Ole Miss, I'm saying in college football as a whole, these defensive backs have got to get their head around. No one gets their head around. They just run through their chest now. It's like
it's egregious in college football.
The ball. Like, if you look at the ball and run through their chest, you might get away with it here and there. But if you're just running through their chest, like, please, defenders, just find the football, or at least look like you're finding the football. Like, I can't stand the defensive pass interference calls where they don't even try to get their head around to find a football. It just blows my mind how often that happens.
There's a reason these guys aren't pros yet. There's a lot of adjustments obviously that have to be made there. But Graham or Tripp, go ahead, give us some insight.
Graham, you want to kick us off?
I was actually looking forward to you hopping in. I ain't heard much from you yet this episode. I was looking forward to you, cooking up a little bit on this segment.
Oh, how sweet!
I'll go for it if you want me to. Yeah, I mean, I think obviously it's going to be kind of hard to follow up Logan with that performance he just put on. That was some theatrics, but hey, look, I love it. I wish I talked about my team like that more, but more kudos to you. But yeah, I think Chambliss, he looked phenomenal. This is a kid that I think if he got the start at the beginning of the season would be in Heisman talks right now based on what we've seen in this short amount of time. And last week when we were picking this game, I said that, Ole Miss's rushing defense was going to be an X factor in this game. And like Joey said, they held them, I think it was 56 rushing yards. 59. So, they went from being on paper the worst rush defense in the country in the SEC to shutting down LSU. Garrett Nussmeier, he just looks lost. He looks like he is trying to make, these crazy highlight throws, but they're just awful. I mean, not what we anticipated seeing out of him this year whatsoever. But most importantly, after that loss, Brian Kelly is now 5-9 versus ranked opponents, not top 10 opponents, not top 15 opponents, just ranked opponents in general. And so to me, I know he gets mad in the presser about certain questions that he gets asked, even after a win. Like, you got to answer these kind of questions, brother. And we're going to get more into this, I'm sure, when we talk about James Franklin here in a little bit. But I just don't understand. You have all this talent. You've got these top recruiting classes year in, year out, top portal classes year in, year out. And this is what you're putting out there for your fans to see. So I don't know. Like I said before the week started, I said at the beginning, LSU was very overrated, and Ole Miss finally exposed that. That's not to take anything away from Ole Miss at all. I think Ole Miss performed exactly how we anticipated they would, and there's clear reason why they were favored in this game, which is crazy. You're a number 4 team in the nation, and you're going to Ole Miss, who is deciding who their starting quarterback is the week of the game, and they're still favored against you. That should say a lot about a team, which I know we'll get into AP polls later, but Vegas knows what they're doing when it comes to picking these games. Vegas doesn't have all those shiny lights in the casinos because they don't know what they're doing. I can assure you when it comes to picking this stuff, they got it figured out. But yeah, kudos to Ole Miss. Logan, I'm happy for you. I know you were anxious about picking this one when we got on the pod last week, but I'm glad it worked out in your favor, brother.
I appreciate it. I just never pick Ole Miss games. You can say Ole Miss versus Tulane, and I'm gonna be like, yeah, Ole Miss should win it, but Ole Miss is known to let me down. But one thing about Chambliss, I had this stat saved and forgot to ramble this off in my tyrant. But so Chambliss became the first quarterback since 1994 in the SEC to have 3 straight games of 300 plus passing yards and 50 rushing yards. First since 94. I think that's a pretty impressive stat. He's had 3 starts. All of them went over 300 passing yards. All of them had 50 rushing yards. So thought that was a pretty impressive stat.
That's big time. Talk to him, Graham.
No, yeah, of course. Want to hop right out and give a big kudos and congratulations to my brother Logan. It's always good to pick up a huge win in the SEC, but especially a big ranked win at home under the lights. I think a couple of things about this game stuck out to me, especially in the week building up to the game and some of that added fuel and unnecessary fuel that LSU gave Lane Kiffin. He was the biggest X factor to me going into this matchup. I don't know if I really elaborated too much on last week's pod, but the matchup between him and Brian Kelly and everything that went beyond, the white lines in this matchup this week played a huge factor into how I saw things playing out, especially as this game moved forward. And not only to stop at Brian Kelly, but I want to also shout out Joe Sloan, LSU's offensive coordinator. Some of the inconsistencies that we're hitting on with Nussmeier, I think have to fall onto the, heels of Joe Sloan. This guy is only 38 years old. I looked it up. That is not something that I knew, today going on to the pod, but I pulled it up because I've been wondering about who's been calling the offensive plays for Garrett this year. And I finally kind of did a little bit of a deep dive, but Joe Sloan is only 10 years older than my damn self. He's not very old. He's born in 86. This is essentially his first big gig. Before this, he was Louisiana Tech's kind of passing game coordinator. Not even their full OC until his last year there, which was COVID year. So kind of some gray area when it comes into looking into Joe Sloan. And I think when you lay a couple of eggs the way that LSU's offense has this year, with it being considered as high power as it was, going into the season and on paper, you do have to start looking into things like this. And you have to wonder if Joe Sloan is ready, if he's cut out for this stage. You have to wonder also about the appointment of it. Brian Kelly is not a person, I feel like, at this position, at this point in his LSU tenure, where I think going for a first-time OC, basically, as your, appointment, you promoted him from your quarterback's coach, but this is his first time being an OC at the big level at this year in your tenure. This was kind of a win year now for Brian Kelly. I think that's something fair to say. Am I good with going around the panel and saying that win now is a fair statement for this LSU team? And maybe not the big dance, but win a damn SEC, win 2 or 3 playoff games and get to a national championship.
Or make the playoffs.
Yeah, there we go. Exactly. And so it's kind of a head scratcher of an appointment with Joe Sloan. And of course, like I said, that stuff is just going to continue to get put under a microscope the more that Garrett continues to struggle. Beyond that, I want to just give another shout out to Ole Miss for a couple of points that Logan already beautifully hit on. He did a great job with hitting on all the big points in his little tirade, as he called it. But man, only 59 yards rushing allowed to this LSU team. Crazy. I also wanted to point out the third down discrepancy, because I believe y'all only gave up 2 third down conversions to them. Let me look this up.
That sounds right.
You're right. I'm looking at it right now.
LSU went 2 for 11 on third down. Now, they did convert both of their 4th down conversions, but that's something that a team that's struggling on third down can do. They pull something out of a hat twice. I've seen Georgia do it once or twice my damn self. As a team that's kind of struggled on third downs recently. We struggled on third down this week. We'll touch on that later. But, outstanding performance defensively from this Ole Miss group. Pete Golden is continuing to coach and coordinate with a chip on his shoulder. I don't think any of us on this panel will forget the slander that this man caught after he got, basically let go. Did Alabama let him go, or did they say he stepped down?
I think he just chose to go to Ole Miss.
But we know how it felt after that, season ended for them. It kind of felt like a firing. So, he's continuing to coach with a chip on his shoulder. And I think at this point, it's safe to say that this Ole Miss team is not just a dark horse to be SEC champions. It'd be kind of remiss to call y'all dark horse candidates. Y'all are one of the front runners to win this conference at this point. And I think if y'all can really catch lightning in a bottle and get past this tougher side of y'all schedule, I'm assuming it gets easier on the back end, especially those last 4 games. If y'all can catch lightning in a bottle and keep this like as a 1-loss team potentially, there's no way I see Ole Miss missing out on this, playoff.
I like the way it looks. I'll just keep it as simple as that. But hey, and also to touch on, you're talking about I forgot his first name, but Sloan. You're talking about him being only 10 years older than you. So when I was doing my deep dive into when did we bring in Charlie Weiss Jr.? When did we bring in Pete Golding? What's the record since they've been there? Charlie Weiss Jr. is 32 years old. That is insane. He was born in 93.
That's like being 15 in the coaching world.
Yes. Like,
but I ain't gonna lie, ain't Sean McVay born in like 89? It's something crazy like that, man. Sean McVay not that old, I don't think.
Yeah, he's young. But when I saw 32, and I'm like, you're the OC of SEC program who's been top 10 multiple times since you took over at OC is pretty impressive, which obviously, Kiffin's an offensive mind as well, so I'm sure that helps. But Weiss Jr. is calling the plays, so just thought that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I just find it crazy that somebody with as much experience in the game, with as much skin in the game as Brian Kelly, you go with a first-time OC into a year like this when you know you only have Nussmeier for 1 more year. I would have tried to go with a home run grand slam appointment with that OC position, but it's something that he's going to continue to have to like reap for the rest of the year because there's no way you can fire the OC and appoint a better one at this point in the season. There's no way. I think that's the only way that this team can categorically go from we're underperforming to you can expect us to underperform for the rest of the year. If they go to firing people right now, and we're not even officially in week 6, hell no. There's no way you go from this sky high expectations to firing people and you think that it's going to turn out, better.
I definitely don't think 1 loss is time to when you start throwing in the house, though. Like,
no, yeah, and I don't agree. I don't agree, but I think we have all kind of insinuated that the offensive struggles for this LSU team have been festering for some weeks now. And it's ironic because that was supposed to be the strong suit of this team. And now Blake Baker is looking like his defense is the strong suit of this team.
So, well, yeah, I mean, just to cap it off, I mean, huge win for Ole Miss over LSU, especially, the trajectory of Ole Miss, like Logan's been saying, it looks, to be on the up and up. Gator fans, I think it's time to go ahead and give up on Ole Lane coming to Gainesville.
One last thing about Lane.
Exiled.
One last thing about Lane. Not only is he a great coach, the man is pure entertainment, okay? The posts on his Instagram stories and whatnot after this win were hilarious. Like calling out Brian Kelly for saying they're going to keep the Magnolia Bowl trophy, he posts one of both the Weeks brothers getting interviewed preseason, talking about who's the one team they want to beat. Both of the guys are saying Ole Miss. He just casually shares it. And then there's the famous tweet that was going around of Whit Weeks throwing up while being on the field.
Timbo.
And the caption is, what did Landry give to Whit Weeks? Landry being Kiffin's daughter. His reply, tempo. Beautifully said. Tweet of the week right there for me, boys. I just wanted to add that in there because I thought that was hilarious and just Lane and his antics, dude. You can't beat it, man. I love it. I'm on my high horse right now. I know it'll take Washington State to beat us in 2 weeks for me to come back to earth, but hey, that's Ole Miss. That's what we do, baby. We beat Georgia like last year, and then Florida just comes and stumps a mud hole in us. So won't be the first time it's happened, but I'm gonna ride high while I can.
And that's part of the game, though. There's lots of highs and lows, which I guess we'll go ahead and transition into the low. I'll lead it off talking about obviously Alabama ends up once again beating Georgia. And I just want to say I was berated by my friends and family for my Sports Illustrated pick of Alabama. I understand, but hey, I gotta call it. I can't use no favoritism in that one. But with that being said, I do want to say before we get into anything that we're going to talk about, I'm tired of seeing the fans say, "Oh no, Alabama didn't beat us. We lost this one." No, that's not what happened. You get all but almost pretty much but rushing yards. You get categorically outperformed in all those. You don't deserve to win. You don't constantly, or constantly is not the right word. You don't consistently allow teams to go up 14-0 in the first quarter and deserve to win. You don't do those things and deserve to win. So let's just get that out of the way. Now, obviously, Georgia holds them scoreless in the second half. I know the adjustments, come a little later than you want to, but they figured it out. But when you put yourself down 14-0, you're crawling up such a deep hole. It's hard to do that. You've got to play nearly perfect, and they didn't. I mean, not a lot of it. The run game I thought was terrific. That offensive line, I think, as much as bodies have been having to be shifted around, done really a good job on what they had to do. I mean, Georgia ran the ball for 230 yards. Obviously, Nate Frazier once again fumbles, gets pulled, doesn't come back in the game. Chauncey Bowens has a game of his life. And I think he almost ran like 8-9 yards to carry. I mean, he was a bowling ball coming through. And obviously, the big fourth down, which in the moment, maybe even in hindsight, like, hey, we have been trailing this whole game. Let's tie this thing up and kick a field goal. But Kirby, he is a process over results guy, which I mean I do respect. And he says we decided on third down that we're going for that. It just mattered whether or not we were going to play tempo or not. In hindsight, why are we giving the ball to Cash Jones? Like I know we're going to probably discuss here in a little bit. Why is he the guy? Well, that's if the right tackle, I believe it was Juan Gaston, doesn't get absolutely obliterated by LT Overton, that's a walk-in touchdown.
True freshman, but fair point.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm not really. It's not him. It's who it was. Like it's just a placeholder. I'm not really blaming a freshman per se, but that is just what happened at face value. So if a tackle doesn't get blown up on that, if that's not a walk-in touchdown, that's 5-6 yards. So I know we were all really frustrated when that happened, but it's like a weird balance between where I'm at right now because like I can't tell Kirby Smart what the right or wrong decision is. Hindsight, I can be like, hey man, probably should have kicked that field goal, but this guy knows what he's doing. But at the same time, as a coach, when is it time to say, hey, our process is our process, how we make decisions, how we make decisions. At one point, maybe we scale that back. Like when he talks about, we always go to the analytics for going for two. No matter what it is, we go to it. Sometimes, hey, go with your gut. You don't go with the chart, if you will. That sucked. Obviously, the Talon Taylor, true freshman dropping a walk-in touchdown. I mean, there's so many things that happen that it's like, oh my gosh, we either tie or win this game. Going to overtime if this happens, especially with how that offense got figured out. But when you go, what was it? When you go 13 for 19 on third down as Alabama, and then your opponent, Georgia, goes 2 for 8, you're probably winning that game. When you own the time of possession by 11 minutes, about right around 11 minutes, you win that game. But if you're Georgia, all that happens, you lost by a field goal. You know what I mean? Like, you lost by a field goal, and there are so many ticky-tacky things that if they happen, this is a whole different story. So that's kind of just my, predecessor into this game, because I know you guys we all have different perspectives on this. So that's kind of just my opening point about it. So Graham or Trip, whichever one of y'all want to. Matter of fact, Graham, since Trip went first last time, go ahead. Let's get into it.
Man, I think you did a good job touching on some of the, box score, like standout, stats that always swing a game and play the biggest factors in like what decision ultimately gets made in terms of a winner and a loser. So I'll just probably touch on some vibes per se, more so than stats or whatever. Generally speaking, the going down 14, going down 10 every first quarter gimmick. It's time to give that shit up, man. It almost felt like there was like a certain point after like that TCU win where I almost felt like Kirby was making games harder on himself on purpose as like a challenge. And I know that's just a joke. That's no like real analytical like stance that I'm taking. But there were times that I just felt like, yeah, maybe he's doing this for the development and betterment of the team. We could have been whooping this team by 50, and we consistently would go on, stretches against lesser opponents and not make it a close game, but score lines would read to me like, okay, maybe we're like going deeper into like a bigger picture, just trying to develop players than beat a team by 50 because we can and we have more talented players on the roster. But at this point, it's starting to make me question way too many things regarding Kirby's philosophy and what his whole game plan and MO is, that I'm like, okay, if we're going to be a dominant team that runs the football and plays hard-nosed defense, you can't do one and not the other. Like things got to be synonymous with each other, and things have to feel like they feel in place. And right now they don't. I don't think it's appropriate for me to sit on here and blame Bobo or blame Schumann, but I think both of them have done an extremely terrible job at not complimenting one another. And that has to fall on the hands of coaches of a team. At the end of the day, we're talking about a team assembled of young men, young adults, and children in some cases. We got 17-year-olds on this roster, playing on a team that is constantly, considered like a championship favorite type team. You have to introduce that mentality onto these guys. And it has to be something that they replicate and build on week in and week out. And right now, what I will say is this: if I'm going to have a hot take after this game, without hitting on too many specifics, is that I really, really, really am beginning to question who the leader of that defense is. I know that CJ Allen is like coded as like our captain, but there are either times through his play or through his lack of like just vocal authority that he takes, that he's not doing enough for me in that department. And I think that's another big reason why we go down so early in games, because that defense is letting up those scores. In the day, if Gunner goes out and doesn't score on his first two drives, but scores on drives 3 and 4, you don't lay an egg and let up 14 points every time, Gunner's not always dealing with a deficit. Every quarterback in the nation isn't going into the game, pardon me, it's irresponsible to assume that a quarterback can be successful going into a game going down 14 points every time. But Trip, I'm gonna go ahead and let you think, man.
Somebody's echoing. Y'all hear that echo?
Yeah.
Let me see.
Okay.
Say something, Trip.
Trip, you're muted.
You muted, player.
Nice. I said this going into the week, how much I hate this week every year that we play them. And this goes to show why. If you would have told me going into Saturday, hey, Trip, Georgia's going to rush for almost 230 yards and Alabama's not even going to score in the second half, I'd have been like, dub, easy dub. But then you incorporate the 13 of 19 on third downs. You incorporate Ty Simpson looking like a Heisman quarterback, playing from behind the whole game. There's so many other factors, like Joey said, that you can, count into why this game ended the way it did. But I want to touch on that fourth down call. And the reason why I want to touch on it is I'm not upset about going for fourth down. Obviously, you're struggling to get to score in general in this game. So obviously taking the points is the Mark Richt way to go. So I'm not mad at Kirby for being aggressive at all. I don't know about you guys. To me, it looked like Gunner got the first down on that third down. So my question is, with it being that close of a call, I understand they had decided they were going to go for fourth down. Understand. Draw up the play that you think is the way to go and let the booth take the time to see if that was an actual first down and spot the ball where it needs to be. I'm not saying if they would have reviewed it, it would have been a first down, whatever. But, and I know Graham touched about this a little bit before we started the podcast. You're telling me Cass Jones is your best option for that play? You don't even want to take the time to draw up like this is our fourth down play right now. And I get it. Tempo helps with that. But like y'all were just saying, we got a true freshman guarding a first-round defensive lineman, and that's the side we're going to go to for that play? Like, that's where I get frustrated, you know? So, and I love Cash Jones. I think Cash Jones is a great get a couple yards kind of guy. And I know he got tripped up and he would have broken that off had that not happened. But we can
I think he did a great job stiff arming, not to cut you off, Trip. The stiff arm was actually an excellent move.
Yeah. No,
He almost was successful with that move.
Yeah, I agree. And I could sit here and say what I would do from a couch all day long. It doesn't matter. I'm not a college coach, nor am I even close to Kirby Smart. But I don't understand how standing on that sideline, nobody in their mind thought, let's let them review this. Like, I understand if you get stuffed and then you go quick for fourth down, okay. But like, to me, that looked like a first down. I was like, oh, he got the first down. And then they start rushing the field to go for it. I was like, what are we doing? And then they say 4th and 1. I'm like, 4th and 1? Like, he got that. So that's where my frustration lies, is that, and I know Kirby came out in the presser and said, you know, we ran the same play against Tennessee and we're successful. We practiced this play all week. We were ready for that situation to do that. You're telling me there's no way you can convince me Cash Jones was in that backfield for that play. I just don't. There's no way with the backfield that we have that was who they drew it up for. So,
and is the Tennessee defense that was missing both of their starting corners that you ran that play successfully against really as good as this Alabama defense that you know you were going up against this week? I mean, These are the things that make us genuinely trip. And I don't even think I was cutting you off. I feel like maybe you served me the perfect lob, but you kind of hitting on some of the points that be kind of rattling through my mind during moments where we're losing or going on stretches in games where we're underperforming. Some of this shit feels pre-installed, bro. It feels pre-installed, and it doesn't feel like complimentary of what's actually taking place. It feels tone deaf of the game at times. And if it's not the case, then guys need to just start stepping up and performing more consistently. If it's something that we're not seeing on game day, but it's clearly being shown in practice, how can we sit here and say that does not fall on coaching? Getting guys ready for games is why you get paid the big bucks. The same way we say we're going to pay a young guy NIL money so he can make big plays. Put him in position to make big plays. Why the fuck is Kobe Young not the one going up for that deep ball that Talon Taylor went up for? He been playing hot the whole game. Excuse my language, man, but why was a more or veteran, savvy, experienced receiver? Shit, Noah Thomas, who we spent $1 million on in the NIL, who caught 8 deep ball touchdowns for Texas A&M last year. I don't think he's even scored one time this year. Why was he not going down and going up like an ex receiver supposed to do that you buy in the transfer portal instead of the, true freshman Talon Taylor? That's now 2 true freshmen that we just, basically we didn't put them on blast, but we highlighted that Gaston got pancaked and Talon Taylor, dropped the ball in a pivotal moment of the game. How that rattles his mind, these weeks going forward. How do you get him involved after not even saying, you know what, you had a terrible drop last drive, we're going to get you involved this drive? That's gone now. We already lost the game. Now we're going into the next week. If he's not installed into the offense, how does that affect our first 5-star recruit that we got at the receiver position since George Pickens? These are the things that you start to wonder about when stuff doesn't seem like they make sense. But I'm sure y'all done, hearing my 2 cents at this point.
So a few things that I want to touch on here is, well, going back to the personnel. I mean, Cash Jones is Georgia's 3rd down back, right? And when you decide that you're going for it on 3rd down, unless it's a negative play and you're running tempo, you don't have that decision. He's a great for pass pro, especially great hands out of the backfield. But when that's happening, like there's so much, like we just talked about 8 things happening at once that a coach has to make a decision on immediately. We have this play drawn up. You go process. If it's going to be short, we're going to be running this regardless. Right, wrong, or indifferent. That kind of at least answers to that. As far as like you brought up the Talon Taylor drop, I don't think it's fair to put a 5-star receiver, like you said, being wide open, and not to mention people like Colby Young, being the hot hand. That's what opens that up. That's not, hey, let's put him over. I mean, if you see Colby Young over here, you're probably going to look at it different. You're going to rotate different defensively. That's one thing. So it's not going to be that black and white, I would say. You can't put it on a 5-star receiver, a 3-star receiver, hell, anybody playing at the college level at the University of Georgia, being that wide open, in your hands, a dime walk-in touchdown, that can't fall in any kind of coaching. Now, what I will say is kind of concerning to me is you brought up Noah Thomas, and you see like where he's been. There were games at Texas A&M where he takes over the game. I mean, he looks like he's an absolute game breaker. It makes you kind of wonder, how much is he? Are these guys that are playing over him really that much better? That's kind of my question. Is like, how does that happen? And B, like, or C, I guess, whatever letter I'm on. Is when he's like, how do we? I agree. Like, that's one player I'd like to see get schemed open more. He's basically been kind of like a decoy, at least, performance wise. The numbers would tell you that. He says he's not deterred by it. And I think that when you're at Georgia, you get coached so well, you learn how to practice and do things so well that you kind of eat that. But I'll say that part is pretty discouraging, not seeing Noah Thomas go for it, or not seeing him get involved a little more in the game plan.
I mean, Joey, at the end of the day, you have to crack an egg to make an omelet. When we went into the offseason, we said we need an X receiver. We need another big body target who can go up and get the ball. We have enough slot guys, especially with appointing Zachariah Branch. Now, if we remember chronologically, Trip, not to cut you off, I know you're ready to cook, but chronologically, Zachariah made it in through the portal before Noah Thomas did. So the way we were looking at it was we've already addressed that Z position, or the slot position with London and Zachariah. Now we go get Noah Thomas. No incorporation of him at this point into the season. Why did we do that if we felt like we would optimize our offense through a different avenue? If we felt like that, then use that money to get somebody better than Josh McCray and Josh McCray is what I'm saying. There's just so many ways that we can flip it. But
did you mean Josh Horton and Josh McCray?
No, I'm saying like get somebody in addition to Josh, get another back out of the portal if you're gonna.
Okay, gotcha.
You get what I'm saying? So it's like, and then also there's a couple other things that stand out to me. We didn't complete a single pass to a tight end that entire game.
Y'all know that? I didn't, but now you say it, yeah.
We didn't complete a pass to a single fucking tight end the whole game. We got Elias Williams, baby Darnell Washington standing on the damn sideline twiddling his thumbs, hot hands in his pockets. Hands hot as shit. No ball in his hands because nobody throwing it to him. This is crazy, bro. This, I'm ranting now at this point because the going down 14 points, 10 points every first half. We've been doing that shit since last year. Tell me I'm lying. We did that shit every game last year.
Alabama, you go down almost 30 last year.
When do we hold these coaches fully accountable? Now, I'm all against people calling for Kirby's head like freaking maniacs on the timeline after a game like this. Calling for Kirby's head in any scenario at this point for another decade, unless the unspeakable happens, God forbid, we would never do that. We don't need to be doing that as a fan base. But the days of calling me crazy because I'm trying to ask you, what is Bobo making this team better at? I understand what he does at keeping this team consistent at what they already supposed to be good at. We do have a team full of capable recruits. What is he making us better at? What is Glenn Schumann making us better at? Because right now I feel like Kirby Smart is a better coordinator than Glenn Schumann. I want Kirby Smart to be able to be a great head coach and complement a great defensive coordinator. Glenn Schumann and Bobo, they both on a hot seat for me. I'm saying that right now as a fan. I'm not going to speak too much negativity or be pessimistic on anything, but they both in the hot seat for me. They both need to show me something every damn week, just like we expect these players to show us something every week from here on out. Them coordinators better be cooking up some. No more saving shit in the vault for week 9. We already got a loss, and we picked up the wrong one at home. We should have lost at Tennessee and beat them. Who said that in the chat? I agree with that shit. I'd rather have lost to Tennessee and fucking Knoxville than lose this damn game the way that we did. And Joey, you're right. We didn't lose it. They won it, but we didn't even give them up a damn point the whole second half, bro. This is crazy, man. This is crazy, bro.
All right, I'm gonna
mute me out.
I'm gonna just touch on a couple of things, and I know we got to move on because we've been on this for way too long. But Joey, just to respond to your point about all those things happen so fast. Cash Jones is your third down guy. Like I agree, 1000%. Cash Jones has been your third down guy all season, if not all of last season as well. I'm just looking at it from. I expect Kirby to see Gunner almost grab that first down and think, okay, if we're going to choose between tempo and not, it's worth not going tempo just to see if that was a first down. And then you draw up the play, you see if you like it, and then if you don't, then you maybe kick a field goal. There's a million ways, obviously, we could say what ifs, whatever. But if you know before that play, we're going on fourth down no matter what, Why is Cash Jones in there to begin with? Is my question. With the way that we ran the ball all night long, especially with Bowens, why is he not the guy in there? He's running through people's chests, like you said, getting 8-9 yards of carry, and that's not your go-to guy for a 4th down and short. That's just where I get confused. The other thing I think is the most important, and I'm going to leave this at this because I know we can sit here and talk about, was it coaching, was it players? This team is very green, very, very green on both sides.
Super young.
Right. And so it's hard to see that balance as a Georgia fan, being used to guys who are willing to stay that extra year to try to win that national championship in the past, and seeing guys who are the clear step-up leaders on defense. And we don't have that right now. I mean, we got guys swanton bombing into a play after it's dead. Like, that shit pissed me off so bad. I'm like, for what, dog? Like, there's 8 people standing this guy up right now, and what do you gain from jumping over the top of that pop? Like, that right there, he's already on my shit list, and that just made it 10 times worse.
I love when Joey lets us bleed over because we hit on shit like this that we don't normally touch on. Trip, thank you so much for that, man. For real, bro.
Like that's to me.
You know we love you, man. You know everyone on this panel, including Logan, wants nothing but the best from you. If you ever listen to this one day, but you got to get that shit together quick. I ain't talking about necessarily your play week to week, but man, this shit going on between your ears, you need to simmer it down and lock the fuck in right now, man. Come on.
Yeah, the entrance of Ellis Robinson, to say the least, has been a little disappointing. For to objectively say it. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Trip.
I was just going to leave it at that. That play right there by Ellis Robinson, jumping 15 yards onto the top of 12 other people, is just a testament to how young, and I don't want to say stupid because not all these guys are stupid, but just how young these guys are. Last year, we're not seeing a guy like Malachi Starks do something stupid like that. You're not seeing Aguero doing shit like that, and he's even young, but he's got enough shit under his belt where he knows that's not what you do in that moment, especially in a 3rd down situation in crunch time. So that's my biggest frustration right now, is you can see very clearly how young and non-developed this team is. But we got a lot to look forward to. These guys are going to develop. I'm not giving up on this team. It's a bad loss, but I will repeat what I said in the group chat so that everybody on this panel and everybody who watched this show can see. I would have rather lost by 40 in Knoxville than to lose that game to Alabama. And I hate Tennessee just as much as the next guy, but I promise you, I would have lost less sleep losing in Knoxville by 40 than losing that home streak and losing it to Alabama, of all people. Kalen DeBoer and Alabama own Georgia mentally, and I'm not afraid to admit that. It's a mental warfare at this point. So I'm going to leave. I'm done.
There's a lot. I mean, like I said, we could do a whole hour. I mean, we basically have a whole hour just about this game. But so lowlights and highlights from our teams. But one is, both teams still have a lot of games to play. I'm not deterred about Georgia being able to make the SEC championship, the playoffs, or anything like that. But it does suck. So another big game where I think we're just gonna go ahead and do some quick trashing of some players is Penn State, Oregon. Oregon comes away with the win. Where I have it up here.
Logan had props earlier. Logan pulled out his props earlier. Who you about to announce? Donut Boy? I know Donut Boy got the dub. I don't give a fuck. Donut Boy. Get my donuts ready, man. Your time coming, bro. I'm telling you right now.
Transition into Drew Aller after talking about our team losing might be the worst segment transition of all time.
You on your ass, Donut Boy.
Graham, could you let the crowd know, the listeners know who Donut Boy is? Could you go ahead and elaborate for us on that one?
Oh, that's Big Drewski out of Happy Valley, man. Y'all already know who it is, man. They know who it is. They trying to act like that's 007 over there, man. I'm gonna tell you right now, the only 007 you're gonna be getting out of him. First 7 games in his NFL career, 0 touchdowns rushing, 0 touchdowns passing. He gonna be handing that motherfucker off to the backup. I'm gonna tell you that right now. 007 Donut Man. I'm telling you, I'm on your ass, boy. They already got him ranked higher than us too. Y'all know they got him ranked like. Yeah, they got Penn State ranked above us, man. Y'all know that.
You ever heard like the golden rule of like investing is don't invest no matter how much your finance bro knows about something. If you don't understand it, don't buy into it. Don't invest any money. That's how I feel about Drew Aller. I've seen him play in playoff games that they won. He looked terrible. I think he had like a 50 in the playoffs. They had like a 50% completion percentage or something like that. Something real poor. I'm not bought into him at all. I'm very bought into Dante Moore, especially now. But Drew Aller, you would have a better chance of me buying something. I can't think of a good comparison, but something I don't need. Like I can't put anything in it. I don't know where this first round evaluation came from. Granted, people who are smarter than me do this, obviously, but sometimes the game tape is the game tape. What they put up is what they put up. And I am done with him. I don't want to hear any Heisman talk. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear any Ohio State talk. Like him beating Ohio. I don't want to hear anything when it comes to Drew Aller being a good quarterback. I'm done. I'm out of it. I'm out of the race. Let me go ahead. I never had any. Officially wipe my slate clean of Drew Aller stock. Done. Logan, we hadn't heard from you in a while, so if you want to elaborate anything on that.
I don't know. You're all good. I was just letting you boys speak on your dogs and letting my heart rate go down a little bit, from the 20-minute timer at the beginning of the show. I'll be honest. I think I told you this a little bit, Joey, when I seen you Sunday. So I cut the Georgia game on the TV, grabbed my iPad, tried to cut the Penn State Oregon game on. Nothing against these two games because these are two games I was very excited for. But I think it was just like the dopamine wearing off after the big Ole Miss game. Because fourth quarter, dude, I was standing up. I was watching my TV just like every stop clapping, dude. Like I was just like, after about the 5-6 minute mark, your boy was on his feet. Well, I guess it was like 10-minute mark because I think we held the ball like the last 5 minutes. But yeah, so it was like not really an adrenaline dump, but for lack of a better word. So I caught myself scrolling on my phone during these two games, being Georgia, Alabama, Oregon, Penn State. I caught myself scrolling, watching Nate Jackson, Gary Owen, and Mark Norman comedy videos more than anything during
this.
Nice. I just not really footballed out, but I think I was footballed out, Like I was like, I don't know. I was a little amped up for the Ole Miss game. And these two, I mean, I don't know. I think my favorite part of this game was watching the Dan Lanning post interview where that man looks coked out of his brain. Man's jaw is popping, all this shit. I'm like, little sketchy look, but big win. I'm sure there's drilling's pumping. I mean, same thing with James Franklin. Does he ever win the big one? That's just like, I mean, we said
at Penn State at least. He won a lot of big ones at Vanderbilt.
What's that?
I said at Penn State at least. He won some big games at Vanderbilt.
He still didn't win. He wasn't beating top 10 teams though, which at Penn State, that's the standard, like if you're going to be at Penn State. I'm not saying Penn State can go get a better coach. I think James Franklin's a great coach, but his kryptonite is winning a big top 10 matchup. So, I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, I didn't watch a ton of these games, so I won't speak for long. I was definitely trying to come down from my high, I think. So, I think I'll let you guys touch more on these two games than I will, to be honest with you.
Trip, I want you to cook up, but I feel like teams like Penn State stay in the positions that they stay in because they never choose to be ambitious and say, you know what, man, James Franklin served us greatly. We never once were where we weren't supposed to be for the most part with James Franklin. But you know what, man, we're going to finally roll the dice and you know what, let's go get a Brent Key. Let's go get a Fran Brown. I know I keep bringing up those names week to week, but I feel like in sports, sometimes you have to strike while the iron is hot and do something that everyone else isn't projecting you to do already. They're already preparing you to line up like James Franklin has lined you up for 10 years. And maybe that's why they can't get over the hump in these big games because they got the right players. I feel like we'd be doing a disservice to the whole listening fan base if we said that Penn State wasn't talented enough to win that game. But Trip, how you feel about that? Because I feel like you are Big Ten correspondent, being, a second, or, Michigan being your second home and whatnot.
Hey, one quick comment off what Graham said. To your point, Graham, I think you're right. Like James Franklin has them in a position that pretty much all Penn State fans want to be in for sure. They've every year for years now fallen one win short, it kind of seems like. And not to bring your dogs back into this or y'all's dogs back into this, but it kind of reminds me of the Mark Richt Georgia Bulldogs, to be honest. Like, yeah, we're winning 10, 11 games, but it's like at some point after 10 or 15 years, when does that grow stale? And when do you maybe it's kind of like Kirby Smart going to South Carolina is like the rumor. And that's when Georgia's like, all right, we got to make a move. maybe there's a big name that gets out there that looks like they're about to go somewhere that Penn State maybe has some like grasp at. And maybe it takes a big name like that for them to really just finally say, you know what? He got us there, but we got to get someone to get us there and win and get over the hump, not just get us to the hump. So maybe that's what it takes for Penn State. It just, you saying that, Graham, just reminded me of, watching Mark Rick and the Dogs growing up. Just, he's right there. Like, he's right there, but for whatever reason can't get over the hump. So just want to throw that in there.
When Georgia hired Kirby, they were the third odd man out of Florida and Bama. And right now, Penn State is the odd man out with Michigan and Ohio State. They have to shake the table and do something to reshake that order up, because if not, it's going to consistently fall the way that it falls for them. And Oregon is in the play with that now. Trip, cook up, man.
Yeah, first and foremost, I want to start on a high note for this game. Dante Moore made it very clear why he's a Heisman frontrunner right now.
Oh, yeah, he's for real.
Absolutely balled out. And I'm actually going to leave all the Drew Aller talk for Graham, because I know he's got an absolute script for that part. So I'm just going to touch on some other parts. But yeah, super happy for Dan Lanning in that win. It was very electric. I was kind of flipping back and forth because his game was on at the same time. Shout out to YouTube TV again for the multi-view. Was kind of trying to focus on that game at the same time to be able to have the conversations about this. But obviously a lot of my focus was on Georgia and Bama. But just like Graham is about to absolutely light into Drew Aller, which he should, because he is the donut that Graham calls him. James Franklin, I'm on your ass. All right. And I'm going to tell you why. Y'all know I'm Mr. Stat Guy, right?
Here it comes.
Here we go. So James Franklin against top 6 opponents is now 2-21, which makes him the second worst head coach against AP top 6 opponents of all time. Not just now, of all time. And the only person,
21, bro.
The only person that has a worse record against top 6 opponents is Frank Beamer, and he was 2-24. Not only is James Franklin 2-21 against top 6 opponents, that's with 15 straight losses. 15 straight. So I'm not done. So that's my stat portion of me getting on James Franklin, right? Graham brings up a good point. At what point do you shake the table up? You're the odd man out in the Big Ten right now. Michigan's got it figured out with a good head coach right now. I agree. Ohio State's not getting rid of Ryan Day anytime soon, especially after he made his mark last year. I think we could see a stretch where the James Franklin talk is actually going to get serious, and I'm going to tell you why. October 18th, they got to go play at Iowa. Okay, they should win that game. Statistically, they should win that game. But then they get a bye week. Right after that, they go play at Ohio State, and then they host Indiana at home. So depending on how that 3-game stretch goes, you could be seeing a lot more articles being posted about as James Franklin, as his time expired.
It'd be so Franklin-esque of them to lose by like 2 points. Like give up a safety to Ohio State and then beat the brakes off of Indiana that following week. Like I just foresee that happen.
Yeah, and I think that's something that could happen, except right now there's a number 9 next to Indiana, and for some reason that makes James Franklin shake in his boots. I don't know what it is. And, obviously Drew Aller is – I don't know how he was even in conversations being a first-round guy to begin the season, because he's never proven that ever. I compare the Drew Aller first-round conversations to Arch Manning Heisman conversations. I'm not saying they don't have the potential of being there, but what have we seen to even include those guys in those conversations, right? But I just think, and I know we're going to get into, if we may have time for it, to get into the AP polls. Penn State obviously loses in an overtime thriller to Oregon, right? Who looks like one of the best teams in the country. Who the hell has Penn State beat where they deserve to only drop 4 spots?
I don't know.
Exactly. And same thing with Texas. There's a lot of conversation. Why is Texas in the spot that they're in with who they've beaten and who they've lost to? I mean, you finally face your first real opponent and you lose. I get it. It's overtime, whatever. It was a whiteout game in Penn State. That's known to be one of the toughest environments in the country, and you still didn't pull it off. So, again, we'll get into AP polls if we make time for that or whatever. But James Franklin, I like him as a man, the way he speaks about his team, the things he does. As a coach versus top 10, That man's fighting demons. I don't know what it is. That man is fighting demons when it comes to top 10.
He's sparring Satan himself.
But I
I'm
thought
really
that
dead
was
because like we talking about how they supposed to beat the brakes off Indiana. It's like the players gonna be in the tunnel like we about to whoop these boys. James like y'all know they number 9, right?
Hey, hold on now.
y'all see that ranking on the
Boys
board,
know they
right?
top 10, right?
Yeah. I just thought that was crazy. He's second worst in all time of any coach in FBS history when it comes to top
insane.
10.
Hey, one quick thing about Indiana here. Not saying it's going to happen, but I kind of feel like Oregon's next game is Indiana, and I kind of feel like that could be a trap game. Big win against Penn State at Penn State in a whiteout in overtime. You have a bye week, and then you
where
go
is
play
that Indiana Oregon game at, Logan?
1 second, I had it. Looks like
Is
it's
it
at
Eugene?
Oregon. Yeah, it looks like it's at Oregon.
I think it's gonna be a trap game too. I think Oregon.
I'm not saying it will happen.
You said what now?
I'll say I'm not exactly saying it will happen, but I think it will be interesting to see how they bounce back with the bye week. It's like, do you ride high in that bye week or you get back to business? Which I like Dan Lanning. I think he's going to have the boys prepared, but I'm just saying that could sneak up and be a good one. I think.
Yeah, I think Oregon gonna trap their foot up Indiana and ass. That's what I think. I think they're gonna get trapped with how deep they foot up their ass. But that's my.
And Penn State will get lucky because Oregon will knock Indiana out of the top 10 if they do win right before they play.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
So James Franklin might get a number 18 win or something crazy.
Yeah.
James Franklin gonna put 200 grand on Indiana money line just to make sure that don't happen.
Well, I think we Graham, did you want to get into your Aller spill, or did you kind of already get into it? Well, what's that looking like?
No, man. I think I did Aller greasy enough this week, man. In all seriousness, it was a double overtime loss. We've seen plenty of good quarterbacks even fall victim to the overtime system. It doesn't reserve any feelings for anyone. It's made a lot of good teams losers. I do think both teams, for the most part, played a decent game, but Drew Aller, I've always said, man, he plays like he's got 2 left feet to me. He's got the per se, like the athletic profile to be the quarterback that I think a lot of people project him to be. And of course, for that reason, when you have good players around you and good coaches supporting you, there's going to be times where that athletic profile translates. But in the big moments, especially in games like this, you see where a guy who just seems like he's naturally more cut out for these types of moments in this stage, like Dante Moore, it translates so much better. Even though physically, I don't think he's profiled as good as Drew Aller. You know, the guys who love watching dudes run around in freaking draws at they combine wouldn't have Dante Moore considered a better quarterback than Aller. But seasons like this continue to show us why it's sometimes better to go for the guy who or to draft a guy who their tape translates and don't go too much for like projecting. I think Drew Aller was our, favorite sports, new favorite project. That's just what it was.
Very well said at the end there with the new favorite sports, favorite project. That's poetic right there. Well, yeah. So obviously, I mean, like we said for teams earlier, still a young season. A lot can go right, but James Franklin, Drew Aller, yeah, not buying that stock at all. So quick news. You got a few more things to hit before we get out of here. Sam Pittman got fired after Notre Dame trounced Arkansas at home, in Arkansas, that is. I was talking with Logan about it. I was kind of thinking like, oh yeah, of course, it's a foregone conclusion. He's had a couple 7-win seasons in Arkansas. I mean, that's what you're shooting for. You may not have to spend the money, but it's crazy how the portal and NIL has made it so hard for those schools underneath, like the bottom tier schools and conferences, like in Arkansas, and just because the financials that you have such a short rope. You have such a short rope as far as what you can do, how you can, really change a program. They want results that it's like, hey, we want you to cook minute rice in 30 seconds kind of deal. Like, You don't have anywhere near the resources. You don't have anywhere near the time, but we need this done regardless. And with uncertainty of players, uncertainty, as far as financial contributions from boosters and things like that, I really kind of hate to see that. And apparently had a buyout clause where it's like they would have to pay a significantly less amount of a buyout if he went under 500. But apparently it had just got under 500 not long before that. And I mean, it doesn't look like they have a lot of hope, even with a guy like Taylor Green playing quarterback. Bob Petrino's the interim head coach, who was obviously controversially the head coach there once before. Apparently he's gone on a mass firing crusade. I think I've seen at least 12 fan bases say there's no reason he shouldn't be our O-line coach. Where are we not calling him right now? Which I think is funny. But yeah, so if you guys want to wrap on that real quick.
I'll touch on this real quick. To your point, I was one of the, not saying it for Ole Miss, but I was saying like Sam Pittman's going to get a job similar to like Matt Luke when Ole Miss let go of Matt Luke, cut ties when got Lane Kiffin. Matt Luke was a great offensive line coach. The whole time he was under Hugh Freeze, never ever did we have an O-line problem. The whole time he was our head coach, we never had an O-line problem. And it kind of reminds me of that. I could easily see Sam Pittman going and joining a powerhouse school, kind of like Matt Luke did Georgia, go win a natty. I could see that. Sam Pittman can coach offensive linemen. He'll be offensive lineman coach and head assistant coach or whatever BS label they give him to make it seem more important than O-line coach. But one thing I did want to say about Pittman, in 2021, his second year there, they were ranked as high as number 8, Arkansas was, and finished the season 9-4. So Sam Pittman, I mean, they had some high highs there.
What year?
2021.
2021, he was in Georgia.
It's not what Sports Reference is saying.
Hey, Joey, I think they might be counting that following year. You see what I'm saying? Like, because Pittman wasn't there for the 2022 team, was he?
I thought he was there for the first championship, which
that first one was 2021, but maybe it's counting it because we won that championship in January of 21 and became Arkansas's head coach in.
This is saying he took over COVID year.
Later that year. You get what I'm saying? That would technically be the 2022 season, but it was in 2021.
This is saying he took over COVID year, 2020.
Oh hell no! Yeah, no.
Let me hold up. If I'm wrong on that, sorry.
Pittman wasn't our O-line coach? That's crazy. I thought he was for sure.
Matt Luke was, I thought.
You're right.
What's his name?
That's what I'm saying. Matt Luke left on.
You're right.
That's what I was telling you, Joey, when you were like, he had a couple 7-win seasons. I was like, didn't he have like a 10-win season? That was the season I was talking about, 2021. He won 9 games.
You know what? That's my fault. I didn't realize he was at Arkansas when Georgia decimated them at home. So
yeah. So I mean,
that is 100% my bad, Logan. My fault.
No, you're good. COVID year he goes 3-7 though, which Arkansas COVID year was weird. I don't really count that for anybody. And then you go to Arkansas second year technically, and I mean, dude's out here with a 9-4 record, and the strength of schedule is a 4.6. I didn't know it did it by the point system. That's kind of crazy, but regardless, had them as high as 8, and they finished the season that year ranked 21 in the AP poll and with an Outback Bowl win. So I mean, this is his 6th season. He's had 3 bowl wins at Arkansas. I know bowl wins aren't as important to you Georgia fans. However, at a university,
very important to Arkansas.
Yeah, you got an Outback Bowl win and 2 Liberty Bowl wins, which last year they won the Liberty Bowl. So just a quick note, you're talking about his buyout is less if his coaching record goes under 500. So he was 32-34 in 66 games there. He's 2-3 this year. They started off 2-0. So they literally waited until he went under 500, and they're like,
nasty business. I
mean, 3 straight losses: Ole Miss, Memphis, and then get blown the doors off by Notre Dame. So I mean, I don't know. It's Arkansas. I don't know what more you really want. I mean, not saying that Sam Pittman's the answer, but I don't know if I see Arkansas getting a big name hire, but maybe they get like a young guy that is at Sam Houston State that we don't know about and has had them good for 2 years, some random school like that. Not that Sam Houston State's good, but maybe some random small school that has had a couple good years under the young guy and they give him a chance. Maybe it's something like that. But yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know. I just think it's very likely Sam Pittman continues coaching and he's pulls a Matt Luke on us, goes to a big program, and probably helps them win a natty by getting their O-line room right or whatever the case may be.
I'm the complete opposite. I think, and the reason I say this is I saw some pictures posted on Twitter right after he got fired of the absolute mansion that Sam Pittman lives in. I think it's time he goes and soaks that up. Personally, big Sam Pittman guy. Love Sam Pittman. Wanted nothing but the best for him when he went to Arkansas. I was super happy for him to get that head coaching job. And I would love nothing more for him to come back and be an offensive line coach. But at this point in his career, I mean, maybe he's just one of those guys that loves football too much to let it go and wants to come to somewhere like Georgia to do that. But I mean, with his age, where he's at this point, why not hang it up? To touch on Joey's point, when it comes to just the NIL era in general, there is a stat, of course, that I'm going to bring. When it comes to since the NIL era has started, Sam Pittman was 11-22 in SEC play. So, obviously had that 9-win season. Had a couple 7-win ones here and there. Got some bowl wins, like Logan was saying. At the end of the day, he's getting ripped apart in the conference. Which again, he's at Arkansas. A lower tier team in the SEC. Not as much NIL money, like Joey was touching on earlier. I mean, he's dealing with the cards he got dealt, but these ADs and these other people that are involved in these boosters, they're paying this money because they want to see wins, and emotions don't come into play anymore when it comes to firing and hiring head coaches. We all just pointed out, they waited literally until his under 500 clause hit to let him go and go get somebody else. Now, who they're going to go get, I couldn't give you a single guess. I have no idea who's willing to leave where they're at now, unless it's from a smaller school to come up to Arkansas maybe. But I wish nothing but the best for Sam. Personally, I hope he enjoys his retirement if that's the route he goes. But if he wants to come to Georgia, he's going to get welcomed by me with open arms. So whatever route he decides, I'm going to be rooting for him.
I'll say
we will always show love to the pit boss over here, man.
No doubt.
I'll say the best feature I think Sam Pittman might have is anytime he had a somewhat big win at Arkansas, he's going to go home and drink a cold one. And that I can get behind.
He has some viral clips, yeah.
Amen to that. Amen to that.
Dude's dude.
I think with the old pit boss, man, as Joey put it in the chat this weekend, I don't think I ever heard anyone call Sam Pittman that, but kudos to Joey, man. What was I going to say? But with him, he's 63 years old, and somebody who kind of reminds me of his situation is a coach who's in the NFL, who actually formerly was a head coach of my team and had a similar tenure. And that's Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles had his first head coaching gig with the Jets. Didn't work out well, but ended up, becoming a coordinator in the league and working his way back up to that position. Now, if Sam Pittman never works his way back up into a head coaching position, that's fine and well. But I do think that at this age, if he did want to, invest another 5 to 6, seasons or years of his life into being a top coordinator for a program that's pushing for, a title each year, that is something that you wouldn't put past somebody who just loves the game. If somebody, really loves the game, maybe they don't want to go out on a flat note. Maybe they want to go out on a high. Maybe that, gives him a reason to, re-spark that love that he has for the game one last time before he calls it quits. And we opening our doors for you over at Athens. So, that's
you should see South Carolina Twitter. They're through there. They hate their O-line. You guys think Georgia fans hate Mike Bobo and Stacey Searles? You've never seen anything like they hate Mike Shula, who's their offensive coordinator, and I think his name's Ronnie Teasley, his offensive line coach. Oh, you have seen nothing. It's madness.
Yeah, unfortunately, the GDP of South Carolina is like Cobb County. So, we can wish for big things because we a big school. South Carolina, y'all wait y'all turn. We'll let y'all know when Stacy is heading out of town. We might.
I'm not touching that one. I'm gonna let you have that one.
Hey, my mama from South Carolina. We don't got nothing but love for the Palmetto State. But
fair enough.
As my boy Logan says, let's call a spade a spade.
Well, it's time to call a spade, if you will, and go through some of the games from this weekend. I got some pretty important matchups, not a ton, not like the slate we had this past weekend, but still a lot of important things. Really don't think we have to go too much into Georgia and Kentucky. I very closely watched the South Carolina and Kentucky game as close as I watched the Georgia game somehow, like the madman I am. And I can tell you, Kentucky has the worst offense in the SEC. This may look like one of those weeks, like against a Kent State type deal. This was going to be bad.
I hope you're right.
It's going to be bad. But kicking off at noon, this one's a little interesting. I know you got Texas at Florida. Texas number 9. Texas 6.5-point favorite. I think this game is going to look a lot uglier than you think. When I say ugly, I don't mean in terms of deficit being a blowout necessarily. I mean ugly as in you're going to see you got two very talented defenses, one offense who's got Arch Manning and some talented pieces and just can't seem to figure it out. And then you've got one anemic offense on Florida, which I think is they're just going to be a little too overwhelmed offensively. So I'm going to take Texas, but I'm not going to call this one an upset, but seriously, do not be surprised if Florida walks away with this one. I know it sounds crazy to say. Do not be surprised.
I agree because they need it more.
This is also true, yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, so. I'm gonna take Texas in that one as well. I wouldn't be shocked if it came out that somehow Florida won this game. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't care how bad Florida is. The Swamp is not a place that anybody wants to go play in. And that's coming from a Georgia fan. I'm glad we play them in Jacksonville every year and we don't have to alternate because I don't want to go to the Swamp personally. Yeah. But like Graham said, Florida needs this win more, and so does Billy Napier if he wants to keep his job. So I wouldn't be surprised if that ended up happening.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think Billy knows the writing's on the wall, and his pastures are going to lead him somewhere other than Gainesville, Florida, in the coming seasons. But every week that you lead a team out there under your leadership, being the head coach, that's still going to go on your resume. And at this point, even though Billy, I think, knows he's not going to be the Florida head coach in 2 years, I think he's under the impression that he's going to be somebody's head coach in 2 years. I think Texas has had that stank on them all season. This will be a really, really interesting matchup. I'm going to still lean Texas just because I feel like Sark knows that there's going to be other games down the line that he's going to probably need to say, like, we can afford a loss here too. I don't think this week is one of those games. And I trust that Sark he's like one ilk above James Franklin in my mind when it comes to big games. This isn't a big game, but it is going to be a big moment in both teams' seasons. I think both teams he needs a big or, a decent SEC win against a notable opponent, and Florida just needs a win. So it's going to be interesting. Give me Texas, but just slightly.
I'm going to go Texas as well. I know Texas hasn't looked great, but I don't know if anyone's looked Florida bad, to be honest. And that's kind of where I'm at here. And you guys know me, what I always say when I'm a little iffy about a game, I always lean on which coach do I believe in more? I believe in Sark more.
You don't believe in Billy Napier?
I do not, actually. Maybe Billy Napier's coaching at Arkansas next year. They would love to have a 7-win guy, 8-win guy consistently. I only say that because Sam Pittman, a few years didn't do that. So I think Texas, the Swamp does scare me here, but it's also the Swamp at 3:30, not at night, so that helps Texas a little bit. However, kind of like the Ole Miss game, not to say our crowd is anywhere near of what the Swamp is, but when it comes down to the fourth quarter, if it's a close game, you are under the lights, and then it really is the Swamp, especially a close game against number 9 Texas. Them boys are going to be rowdy if they're in a nail biter in the fourth. But I mean, I think Texas is going to edge it out, but I do think I could see a world with DJ Lagaway just out of nowhere comes in and just lights it up. So, I mean, I'm not really sold on Texas, but kind of when I'm on the back and forth, like I said, I'm going to lean the coaching way, and I believe in Stark over Billy Nate.
Yeah, that's fair way to lean on that based on coaching. But seriously, do not be surprised if Florida walks away with this. And I know that sounds very safe to say after picking Texas, but do not be surprised.
No, I agree.
The game day. So college game day Saturday is in Tuscaloosa. Never would have thought I heard game day is Vanderbilt at Alabama, but Vanderbilt number 16, Bama number 10. Obviously made a huge jump after beating Georgia. Well deserved. And I think Bama's rolling. I really do. They at second half, not a lot good happened for Alabama, I guess, if you will. But they did enough to win the game. I think this team believes that they're as good as they are now. And I think the way Ty Simpson played, I think he's really got his confidence. The locker room's really got his back. I think they're going to steamroll Vanderbilt. Funny enough, I think both teams are better than they were when they met last year at this point. But I think Alabama has really found that chip in their shoulder. I think they're going to run away with this one.
Go ahead, Logan.
I agree. I like everything Joey just said, spot on. The only thing that makes me think, I don't know, maybe Diego Pavia gets it done. The only thing that makes me think that is the fact that Nick Saban is still not the head coach of Bama. That always will sit in the back of my mind. Nothing against Kalen DeBoer. He's done nothing really wrong. I mean, you're following up Nick Saban. Obviously, that's the biggest shoes you could possibly try to fill. But, I mean, there is that little inkling in the back of my head, like, I don't know, Pavia's pretty good. Vandy's rolling. Maybe, it's kind of like, not to throw a trap game around there all the time, but you get the big Georgia win, and then maybe you're a little too high on life. But I think Bama wins, and I think it could be by 20, to be honest. I think they come out and make a statement. It's in Tuscaloosa. Game day's there. Atmosphere is going to be electric, I think. So I do think Bama probably wins pretty big, to be honest. And maybe Vandy gets humbled a little bit. But, I mean, hey, shout out to Vandy. They're 5-0. I think, what's his name? Clark Lee? Is that his name?
The head coach, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Clark Lee, I remember when he went to Vanderbilt, he made – don't remember the exact statement, but he made a statement about wanting to compete with Bama and take over their spot, and everybody kind of laughed, and then he upsets them last year. So it's like, shout out to him. He came into Vanderbilt, and whoever thought we would see Vanderbilt with game day – I know it's not at Vanderbilt, but see them being a game day game, and on top of that, be 5-0. So shout out Clark Lee. He's got the Commodores doing their thing. So I'll give him credit there. I'll continue to give my flowers today.
Yeah, I think that personally, I think Bama's going to run away with this, but I also think Vanderbilt's offense is going to give Alabama a little bit of trouble. I think that if there's really any comparable team for Vanderbilt's style of offense, I think it's that Florida State offense that beat Alabama week 1. Now, I think Alabama has improved a lot since week 1, obviously, and this Florida State team is just the sleeping giant that can knock you off from what we've seen now. But Vanderbilt is good, man. I'm not going to lie. Like, they're 5-0, like Logan said. They're continuously and progressively getting better. Diego Pavia is an absolute dog. But I think that style of offense is going to throw them, for a loop. But I'm still going to take Alabama probably by at least. I think the spread's 10.5. I think that's a pretty fair spread. I don't think they blow the doors off by any means. Like, I don't think they beat them by 30 plus. But I think that they take care of business with these.
Yeah, the tie roll, I got them by at least 17 points, 17 or more.
So we're all feeling that. We think Alabama's real. One thing I will note, Alabama has had some pretty glaring, even with Georgia, pretty glaring issues defending the run. Worth noting, Vandy is number 18 in the country in rushing yards, and second in the SEC in that, behind Missouri, who's being catapulted by Ahmad Hardy, who's incredible. But that's something to definitely pay attention to. Final game that we're going to look at is what I honestly thought would have been game day, but ended up not be, is Florida State at Miami. Obviously, Florida State coming off that really, really disappointing loss to Virginia in double overtime, I believe it was. And Miami coming off a bye, looking like the U is back, if you will. That's what it looks like. Obviously, Carson Beck is doing his thing, and this team is rolling. Miami's 4.5-point favorite. I'm going Miami on this one. I think they're really good. I think they play well at every phase, especially up front. I think that's where When you play big games like this, you got to win up front. Miami's really impressed me up front, and that they definitely have the better quarterback in this one. Tommy Cassiano is probably going to see this and want my head, but that's fine. But yeah, I think Miami goes, and I'm taking probably the most improved draft stock this year has been Carson Beck, undoubtedly, in my opinion. So yeah, give me the Canes.
Go ahead, Graham.
Yeah, I like the Canes as well. And I also like Malachi Tony, true freshman receiver.
Oh yeah, he's good.
Carson Beck's favorite target so far. I like him for at least $115 and a tud as well. I think Florida State is going to hang around for the entirety of this ball game, and I do think they're still a dark horse to like make the ACC title game and probably lose to Miami again in a heartbreaker. If they are to make it back, I could see it maybe playing out in that manner. But I got the Canes walking away with this one, but it won't be on any slight to Florida State's efforts, I don't believe. I think Norvell and them boys will bounce back, all things considered, after that, terrible loss to Virginia. It just won't be enough to take out a team that I truly feel like is going to be like one of those top 4 teams come playoff time. I think they're going to be one of those top 4 seeds, Miami.
Yeah, I think that, first of all, I love that we've gotten Graham on Prize Picks for less than a week, and he's already talking about prop lines for players. But yeah, I think Miami takes care of business with these. I think Florida State's still going to be licking their wounds from this past week. And I think Miami coming off a week of rest is just going to look even better. So, Carson Beck, like you said, Joey, had the most draft stock improvement of any player, I think, right now in the country. And he's proven everybody why coming back for that paycheck was worth it. We live in a world where one solid year, and we can name plenty of Georgia players that have done this. One good year gets you drafted. And so hopefully, I'm a Carson Beck guy. I don't want anything bad for him. I hope that this is the year that, propels him in. And with the way the rest of these so-called first-round quarterbacks, example, Cade Klubnik, Drew Aller, Garrett Nussmeier, Carson Beck's got a really good chance to be a top 10 pick right now. And I don't think there's any argument around that. But 4.5 points, I think, is kind of crazy. I think that's only because this one's on the road for Miami. But I think Miami might even double, if not triple, that spread and take care of business big time.
Oh, man.
Interesting.
Close out, Logan.
So Joey knows me and him had a little discussion back and forth, if you will, last year on Carson Beck. He was trying to convince me that last year Carson Beck would go to the draft and get drafted in the first round, and I was not buying that stock at all. Was not a fan of it. However, this year he might be the first quarterback taken out of the draft, and kind of like Tripp saying, that was you, right, Joey?
Before the year started, he was projected top 10. Like, I didn't expect him to throw 12 interceptions, but
he was the Heisman front runner going into the beginning of last season. By the way.
Well, me and Joey had this conversation, I want to say at the Tech game when we were watching it, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong. We were watching a game together. We had this discussion. At that point in time, I was not a believer that Beck was a first-round quarterback, and especially not over Dart at that time. However, right now, like I said, I think Carson Beck could be the first quarterback off the board. The way things are shaking out right now, I think he could be sitting there waiting for that Heisman Trophy to get presented. Not saying I think he's going to win it, but I think he should be top 3 and be able to attend that ceremony. Maybe he wins it. Who knows? The U looks like they're back. So I'm definitely a Carson Beck believer. I am a Miami believer. I do think Florida State's going to bounce back. Obviously, they just lost a heartbreaker. I also think if they don't lose that Virginia game, this probably is game day. I think the reason why it is not is because instead of watching number 3 Miami face number 4 or 5 Florida State, they lose a heartbreaker, fall to 18. So I think that is the only reason we're not seeing this as game day. However, I think it'll be a good game. It's also a rival, so we always know how those shake out. I do think Miami comes away with the win, though, and I think the U keeps rolling. But one random one I want to throw out there, I kind of feel like this team continuously gets overlooked week in and week out. We don't talk about them other than like the one time I mentioned them for the upset against Arizona State. Mississippi State looks good. Jeff Lebby was the OC at Ole Miss. I'm a Jeff Lebby fan. I hate seeing him in maroon and white. Screw the Cowbells. But Jeff Levy's got Mississippi State looking good. They lose a heartbreaker in OT to Tennessee last week, but they also play number 6 A&M at A&M. That does scare me a little bit, but I just want to throw that little nugget out there that I do think Mississippi State maybe could catch A&M off guard. I do think everyone's kind of got Mississippi State on their map at this point, but I just want to throw it out there. It's kind of shocking that Mississippi State has a number 12 win. Their only losses to whatever Tennessee is now. They were 15 last week. But them being 4-1 with a top 15 victory and their only losses to a top 15 team and they're not ranked is kind of bizarre to me. I think
but Notre Dame's ranked.
Exactly.
Right.
Go figure, right? And I mean, this coming from an Ole Miss fan, but I'm just saying, like, maybe I'm trying to prepare myself for a Mississippi State loss. I don't know. But Mississippi State has looked good every week. And every week that I see their, like, box scores and who they play and how they look, I'm just like, damn, Jeff Levy got the boys going. So just want to throw that out there. I think State and A&M could be a good game this weekend.
Yeah, they gave Georgia hell last year.
Yeah.
Absolute hell.
That is true. And then also, before we close it out, Joey, I just want to be able to say somehow, some way, for 1 more week, 2 more weeks, because we got a bye week next week, I'm able to say Ole Miss is the front runner in the SEC. We have the most conference wins, the most wins, and are now, shockingly enough, the highest ranked team in the SEC. So ready to get heartbroken at some point this season. However, I told y'all I'm going to say it every episode until it isn't true anymore. And I said last week I thought it might be the last week I'm able to say it. So I'm going to say it again. The Rebs are on top of the SEC, and it's wonderful, boys.
Hey.
I'm going to keep saying it until I can't no more. I've said
it
Kentucky week 2.
Hey, Graham, give us your Miami picks. This guy will stop talking about Ole Miss, for God's sake.
Oh, no, yeah. No, I got the Canes rolling, man. I got the Canes winning by, I say by
He gave it to us.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
I got the Canes by field goal.
We were ending how we started, all right?
Wow. So, well, guys, this has definitely probably been our most emotionally charged episode. So appreciate you guys sticking by. NFL episode also coming this week. We're going to have, by the way, if you bet what we put in last week, you would have won you some money. So stay tuned. We're going to give you some more lines. But again, if they don't work, not my fault, not their fault. It's your fault. Yeah, exactly. So, well, guys, appreciate it. And that ain't it, everybody. We'll go ahead and go out. Peace.
See y'all tomorrow.